to Tableside Talk. My name is Cam Kelly. I'm a commercial real estate broker with the Langert Commercial Group, and to my right is our principal and founder, Evan Langert.
Hi everyone. As Cam said, I'm the principal and founder of the Langert Commercial Group. Also am a 35 plus year practitioner of the commercial real estate industry. So Cam and I have decided that we're going to put together these Tableside Talks because I've been in this for a long time. I've done hundreds of deals of all types. I run into all sorts of hurdles, challenges, had to come up with creative solutions to make a deal move forward rather than to die in the dirt, as it were. And so what we're trying to do here is to take some of our experience, our wisdom, if you will, and impart that to you so that maybe it can help you in your current commercial real estate transaction, maybe in a subsequent commercial real estate transaction. So that's our goal here. And with that in mind, what's our topic of the day, sir?
So today, Evan, we will be discussing the length of a lease term. As I'm sure you know, we get calls almost daily from prospective tenant clients, and they ask us, hey, how long of a term should I sign? 3-year, 5-year, 10-year?
Right.
So I was hoping you could speak to that a little bit.
Okay, yeah, that's a little more of a loaded question than it may first appear. And the great big macro level answer is that it depends. So pluses and minuses of a short versus a long lease term. Typically, when you do a lease, you have set increases, not always 3%, but more often than not, they're 3%. That's moving a little bit here in inflationary times. So if you do, say, a 3-year lease, you know what you're paying year 1, year 2, year 3. If you do a 5-year lease or a 10-year lease, you know what you're paying in years 4 and 5, and in a 10-year lease, you know what you're paying for the next 10 years in base rent. And then if you have an option, most of the time they'll grant you an option to extend the lease. Then the option, the vast majority of the time, is at whatever the market rent is at the time. So if you are in a period of rising rents, and the longer your lease term is, the more chance of that happening. You can say, okay, well, our 3-year lease is over, or our 5-year lease is over, and we want to exercise our option to renew. Well, you can find out that the market rent at that particular time, and thus the rent that you're going to be paying in your renewal term, is quite a bit higher. I've seen $7 and $8 a square foot and more higher than what you would have been paying had you been locked in on a longer term lease. So that would be a reason for a longer term. Also, a lot of people put $400,000 or $500,000, $1 million, $2 million into the tenant improvements in their spaces, and then they have to amortize the tenant improvement expenditures over their lease term. So a lot of the larger chains, restaurants, coffee shops, banks, things along that line, they'll want a minimum of 10 years. Department stores, grocery stores, big boxes, things along that line, they'll have much longer terms than that. Ground leases like a Texas Roadhouse or something like that, just to pick someone that I have worked with in the past, they're spending 3, 4, now probably more on a building. So their ground lease is going to be for a really long time because they've just spent a big bunch of money on the building and they want to be there for a long time. The downside to a long lease term is that if something bad happens, you're on the hook for the whole entirety of the term. So if you have a 3-year lease term and you go belly up, for want of a better term, in year 3, and if you have a 5-year lease term, you're on the hook for 2 more years. If you have a 10-year lease term and you go belly up in year 3, you're on the hook for 7 more years. So people get nervous. They don't want to get caught on the hook for something, especially first-time business owners. So sometimes they want a shorter lease term, and that can work for them. And so that's kind of the most prominent reason why people want a short lease term. They just I don't know if it's going to work, or not confident enough that my concept is going to work, so I just want to try it out for a while and see. That can be a little tough for another reason. Oftentimes, if you want to open up in a premises, you want the landlord to do some work in the premises. Maybe it's work that costs a lot of money. maybe they're giving you what we call a tenant improvement allowance, which is their contribution to your build out. So whatever they expend, they have to amortize over the primary term of the lease. So if you're doing a 2-year lease or a 3-year lease, you are highly unlikely to get the landlord to do any meaningful work in the place. So most often their willingness to do anything meaningful is in the 5-year and up range. So all those things play in. The other thing is, when you're looking at, I don't want to be on the hook for 7 more years if I go belly up in year 3, where's your location? Is it a rural location where there aren't a lot of tenants, and if you go belly up, you're going to have a really tough time filling the space? And so there's a realistic possibility, maybe even a probability, that you're going to be on the hook for the rest of the term and be paying that rent. Or are you in a heavy suburban or an urban location that's doing really, really well, and you beat out several other tenants for the space, and if you went belly up, it wouldn't be much of a problem to get someone else to fill your space. That's a mitigating factor, because landlords cannot double collect. If you are in there for 3 years and 3 months later you get someone else to come in and pay the rent that you had been paying, the landlord will get the rent from them. They cannot collect from them and from you. So all these are moving pieces to your decision, anyone's decision on how long of a lease term. Also, sometimes landlords will require a certain term. They're like, we're not doing a lease below 5 years. We're not doing a lease below 7 years, that sort of a thing. So all these things factor in. There are additional factors as well. And as we always say when we're doing these videos, call us with your specific situation. Everything's different. Every situation is different. We make ourselves pretty available. So call Cam, call myself, email us, and let's get together and let's chat about your particular situation. And we'll give you the moving pieces to your particular situation, and you can decide what length of term you would like for your lease. All right. With that being said, everybody have a great day. Enjoyed talking with you, and see you soon.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.